We have a piece of correspondence addressed to the Dayton Board of Selectmen, Mr. Dean Cronin, Chairman, Mrs. Nancy Goulart, Mr. Brett Sografos. Dear Selectmen, this letter is in reference to the upcoming renovations that we understand are being planned for the old and original Town Hall, also known as the Grange Hall. As members of the Dayton Historical Commission, we are respectfully requesting your consideration of our concern to keep the historical character of the building intact. It is our hope that any and all renovations on this town building that was built in 1869 will have its integrity and character preserved in every stage of design, planning, and construction. We also have concern for the fate of the building's remaining historic contents, particularly the original wooden seating benches. It is our hope and request that they not be disposed of, but remain in the old town hall, also known as the Grange Hall, or be utilized somewhere else and remaining as town property. There is also a fine old grand piano which has played a part in Dayton's cultural history for many, many years, and we hope and request that the piano might be kept and preserved and not disposed of. The Historical Commission is deeply saddened by the irretrievable cultural loss of Dayton's Intertribal Council. Their long-standing, rich affiliation with the town is remarkable, with archaeological findings of early settlements being 5,000 to 7,000 years old. Also, this separation has occurred, whereas they will no longer use the old town hall, also known as the Grange Hall, or provide to Dayton valuable community experiences and services in so many realms. It is our hope at this point that the building will have renovations that maintain its historical character, that of the 1800s nonetheless. Since we of the Historical Commission are charged with protecting and preserving Dayton's historical heritage, we sincerely hope that as our elected selectmen of Dayton, your planning efforts and all projected designs and implementation, upcoming and in the future, remain consistent with the nature of this building. We welcome the opportunity to provide Historical Commission input, and we thank you for your understanding and consideration of our concerns. Please do keep us informed as to what is planned and happening, and contact us should you have any questions. Before closing, I must add that the new chairman of the commission has not expressed complete support of this letter, but has indicated the importance of the commission's cooperation with other town boards to display artifacts or documents that will enhance historical education in a way that doesn't compromise or hinder the goals of the selectmen. Respectfully submitted, there's no signature, it states the Dayton Historical Commission. Anyone have anything they'd like to say?
We gave a copy of that, I think, to Mr. Aguirre, so he's aware.
Okay.
Karen, do we have those MEMA messages that came in today? I just want to mention what came in. I'm not going to read them all because they kind of go on and on. Three separate messages came in today from Mass Emergency Management. They were sent to Mr. Pius, Tom Pius, and he forwarded them to me. They all deal with Hurricane Matthew, and obviously they were written yesterday. So if you've been following the weather forecasts, as of late, they don't think it's going to come to New England because they think the high pressure over our area is going to actually make it turn a circle and go backwards. But in any case, they talked about emergency preparedness and planning activities. So I want you to know that should we get a hurricane, whether it's this one or some other hurricane, Mass Emergency Management has the Emergency Operations Center. They are going to continue to monitor this storm until they're sure it's not coming in our direction. We may get some heavy rain and maybe high surf, but the other part of this is they're advising everybody. Being New Englanders, for the most part, I think you all know what you have to do when they either predict a blizzard or a hurricane. That is to have emergency supplies, to have emergency contact information. If you're new to this area, not being from New England, and you're new in town, if you go on the MEMA website, you can get all of the information about the kind of things that should be in an emergency kit. Rest assured that should we have a hurricane or other major weather event, whether it's flooding or high wind or whatever, the town does have an emergency plan, and we have, if you will, our local emergency management team that would, under the direction of MEMA, and certainly to deal with local situations as they may arise, we do have our own emergency management area within the town. And it's made up of all of the major department heads in public safety and health inspectors, everything we need. So if you need info, please go to the MEMA website. And if anybody wants to read this, as I said, it's just basic information and a reminder. So let's hope that Hurricane Matthew goes somewhere out to sea.
Next on the agenda, announcements. I'll start off with the back page. Trash bags, shops, disposal containers, and recycling stickers are all for sale at the Board of Selectmen's office. You may call 508-669-6431 for more information. Meetings for the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Health, the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Planning Board, Conservation Commission, and the Police Station Building Committee are now being posted to YouTube under the name Town of Dayton Meetings. The Historical Commission is looking for volunteers. Please come into the Selectman's office to fill out a volunteer form if you are interested. The Fall Town Meeting will be held Thursday, October 27th at 7 p.m. at the Dayton Middle School. The food bank distribution has been changed to Saturday, October 15th, 2016, from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Again, the food bank has changed that date. It will occur on Saturday, October 15th. The state election will take place on November 8th, 2016, at the Dayton Elementary School. The red booklets received at your residence during the last week contain important information for all voters.
Mr. Chairman, before we move on, I just wanted to update the residents and let everyone know that for those residents who were unable to attend the very informative meeting last night regarding the new police station project, that will be uploaded shortly to YouTube, and we'll make sure to get that on there for everybody who was unable to attend.
Thank you. Save me from that. And we also have an announcement regarding the Municipal Modernization Law speed limit changes.
We have sent a letter to Mass DOT, the director, Ms. Perry, regarding our plans to implement certain areas in town under this. I'll just read the abbreviated section of the law that relates to local speed limits. One of the provisions of the newly enacted Municipal Modernization Law, also known as the Weed Whacker Bill, gives authority to local communities to reduce speed limits and establish safety zones on local streets. This provision does not apply to state highways. The town has begun the process of identifying streets or sections of streets that should be considered for speed limit changes. From that list of streets, the town will also determine if safety zones are needed in specific areas. The Board of Selectmen, Highway Superintendent, and Police Chief will prioritize the list based on all data available. Mass DOT will be notified of our plan changes. So we have sent a letter to, as I said, Ms. Perry, and told them that we intend to start looking at areas in town where we would consider reducing the speed limit or designating certain areas as safety zones. Obviously, one of the safety zone areas we're going to look at is the Center Street East where the Aggie School is, because they cannot have a school zone there. But this would allow us to lower the speed limit further and hopefully deal with the heavy traffic on Center Street. Anyhow, we asked Ms. Perry to, if she would, or if somebody at DOT would get back to us, because we're looking for some assistance from them on how to prioritize or look at certain areas if they have guidelines on how to pick streets or even sections of streets. One thing we did specifically ask for from DOT is that they look at Route 138 from the Taunton line all the way to the Hart Street intersection, because we feel that the speed limits in that whole section of road are too high. They were set before all of the new businesses that have come along probably in the past at least 40 years have come into existence. And if you're doing 40 or 45 on 138 and there's somebody trying to get on the road from one of the little businesses, it's difficult. So the provision of the Weed Whacker bill also says that if there is a section of a state highway that the community would like to have the speed limit changed, we have to contact DOT because it's a state highway, and they would make a determination. So we've reached out to DOT to try to help us. In the meantime, we're putting together a procedure for determining which streets or sections of streets should be considered for lowering speed limits or safety zones. So just wanted to give you an update where we are with that section of the bill.
Selectman Goulart, I found that last statement very, very interesting, because I don't know if anyone remembers, but we had received a letter from a resident on County Street, and that obviously is a state highway, so we hit that, roadblock regarding trying to change the speed limit, but it's not really possible because it's a state highway. So do you think we can, well, we did send the letter to Mass DOT, actually. Did we ever hear back about that
No, it just went out.
Okay.
Oh, the accident?
Yeah.
No, not yet, but
Okay.
I think that DOT is obviously well aware of that change in the law, because a lot of communities are going to be going in there with local streets. And I truly think we can make the case for lowering the speed limit on 138. In the letter, we mentioned the businesses and, the accident data we've got. And I understand that there were people who appeared to be DOT people around Main Street. So I'm hoping we can do something about the Main Street intersection too.
Nice.
I hope, this is kind of a different approach. We're asking them to give us some assistance. In the past, we've pointed out all the problems. We've had traffic studies. We've gotten nowhere. So I hope this legislation is going to cause a more cooperative relationship to be created.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Next under announcements is the early voting schedule in Dayton. We make it a point to keep reading this notice to all the registered voters in town for the early voting that was initiated this year. Again, early voting will take place between October 24th to November 3rd on Monday through Thursdays. Every day, the hours of early voting that will take place here at the town hall will be from 7:30 to 4:30, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays, Wednesdays, 7:30 to 8 p.m. If anybody has any questions, you can obviously call the Board of Selectmen's office at 508-669-6431. Be happy to answer any. But again, the week of October 24th and the week of November 1st, you will have 8 days of early voting, 7:30 to 4:30, and if it's a Wednesday, you can vote until 8 p.m. on those Wednesdays. Next, under the heading of announcements, preparations for Hurricane Matthew.
Yeah, that was the one I did in the correspondence, so
All
that
right.
one's done.
Old business. Tonight, we do have a piece of old business to review, discuss, and act on the proposals for renovations to our holiday train.
Thank you, Karen.
This is a proposal that Mrs. Goulart has kind of taken under her wing, and it's a nice project, and I can't wait to see all these new renovations come to holiday.
With the help of Tom Ferry.
Right.
Tom's key in this, because Tom got us the tow motor. The tow motor is now at Bristol Plymouth. They are going to convert it into, well, I'll read. To convert a military-style tow vehicle owned by the town of Dayton into a holiday train. The estimated cost for sheet metal, paint, and decals is $700. The reason why this project is very good price is also because in a separate email, I was advised that one of the companies that supplies paint to Bristol Plymouth for various projects has donated the paint that's going to be needed to paint the train. I sent copies, actual photographs of the train as it exists currently. And so they know what the old train looked like. And from the email, I gathered that the students in the sheet metal department, the art department, I think graphic design, there are a number of departments where students will be involved. And when they see the pictures that were sent, I'm sure they'll be very creative to make this look like a holiday train. So having said that, just to remind you, the cost for the other part of the train that's being done at Dayton Rehoboth was $2,700, and we voted on that a week or two ago. So with this $700, the restoration and actually reconstruction of part of the whole thing, this is $3,400. And the cost for this, there will be a special warrant article on the upcoming town meeting. The Lights On Committee is raising money, but the contract for this work is between the two schools and the town of Dayton. So that's why the money is there, similar to what we did with the anniversary book, where the town put the money up front, paid the bill, and then as the books were sold and continue to be sold, the town gets its money back. And we've more than recouped what we initially paid Bristol Plymouth to print that book. So with that said, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the contract for $700 with Bristol Plymouth to convert the military-style tow vehicle into the holiday train.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Do we get to ride the train into the ceremony? Okay, I'll take that as a no.
Any other discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The ayes have it, passes unanimously. I'll move right along to new business. First, under new business, review, discuss, and act to sign the warrant for the special town meeting.
Thank you.
Want to split this up?
Sure,
Everybody gets a taste of it?
sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Before I read the special town meeting warrant, which is scheduled for October 27th, 2016, I just want to let you all know, there are copies of this posted on the town website. I'm sure it'll be posted on some of the Facebook posts and would be YouTube. Selectmen's graphics.
Absolutely.
So there's plenty of opportunity for everybody to read what the articles will be. This year's special town meeting will consist of 19 articles, and I'll begin the reading of the warrant. For Bristol County, to either the constables of the town of Dayton and the county of Bristol, greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Dayton qualified to vote in elections and town affairs to meet in the Dayton Middle School Auditorium on Thursday, the 27th day of October, 2016, at 7 p.m. Then and there to act on the following articles, viz. Article 1, to hear the reports of the town officials and act thereon. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the amount of $7,000 to be used for assistance for the fiscal year 2018 certification revaluation of real estate and commercial property of the town, excuse me, or act thereon. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the amount of $62,500 to purchase a wood chipper, model number BC 1500, for use by the Highway Department or act thereon. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from free cash the sum of $168,100 for the purchase of a new front-end loader for use by the Highway Department or act thereon. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the amount of $7,500 to perform a limited soil investigation at the former landfill located off Hart Street in Dayton, or act thereon. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the sum of $2,585.97 to pay prior year bills, or act thereon. Do one more. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds an amount of $45,000 to purchase a 21-foot Boston Whaler boat equipped with a brand-new motor and a trailer for use by the harbor master and the harbor master's assistants, or act thereon. Next. 8.
Article 8, to see if the town will raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the amount of $4,600 to additionally fund the Board of Selectmen Administrative Assistance Salary Account 10-122-0000-50-5110 in order to increase weekly payroll hours to 40 hours per week or act thereon. To see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds the amount of $3,400 to pay for repairs and reconstruction of the holiday train and holiday float or act thereon. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds $150,000 to the OPEB, which means Other Post-Employment Benefits Liability Trust Fund, established to cover the unfunded actuarial liability for retirees' health care and life insurance benefits, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 11, to see if the town will raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds $34,999 to purchase a 2016 Dodge Grand Caravan SE ADA mobility van equipped with a power pull to provide transportation for Dayton veterans or act thereon. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to authorize an expense from available funds in the amount of $17,288.80 to fund personnel expenses for FY17 for employees covered under the recently settled Dayton Highway Department Employees Union Collective Bargaining Agreement or Act thereon. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds $3,000 for a public address system or act thereon. Article 14, to see if the town will raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds $125,000 to pay renovation costs for the Grange Hall to create office space, a town meeting space, and bring the building up to code or act thereon.
Selectmen, your turn.
Thank you. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the certified balance of free cash available in the treasury the sum of $200,000 to the stabilization account or act thereon. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the certified balance of free cash available in the treasury the sum of $400,000 to the capital stabilization account or act thereon. Article 17, to see if the town will raise by borrowing and appropriate $2,677,641 to pay additional costs of constructing, originally equipping, and furnishing a new police headquarters and communications center, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, which sum shall be expended in addition to the $2,500,000 previously authorized to be borrowed by the town for this project at the town meeting held on June 12, 2012, and excluded from the limitations of Proposition 2.5 at the special town election held on August 9, 2012, and in addition to the $770,723 previously authorized to be borrowed by the town for this project at the town meeting held on October 30th, 2014, and excluded from the limitations of Proposition 2.5 at the special town election held on January 13th, 2015, resulting in a total project appropriation of $5,948,364, and that the town authorize the Board of Selectmen to contract in the name of the town and do all things necessary for the accomplishment of this purpose, and that the town authorize the Board of Selectmen to contract for and expend any state or federal grants, gifts, or donations, and/or any other sums of money obtained for such purpose, provided, however, that this approval is contingent upon a debt exclusion vote. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds $2,000 for the personnel expenses account and $3,800 for the expenses of the election account or act thereon. Article 19, to act upon any other business that lawfully may be introduced at said meeting. And you are directed to serve this warrant by posting attested copies thereof at each of the post offices, at the town hall, and at the main fire station, all in said Dayton, 14 days at least before the time of holding said meeting. Hereof fail not, and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of meeting as aforesaid. Given under our hands this 5th day, I guess, of October, in the year of our Lord, the 2016th, and of the independence of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the 240th, Board of Selectmen, Dean V. Cronin, Chairman, Brett R. Zographos, Clerk, Nancy J. Goulart, Member, a true copy attest, Town Clerk, posted as directed, Constable. Those are all to be filled in date.
Excellent, excellent. I'll entertain a motion to sign the warrant for the special town meeting of October 27th, 2016.
So moved.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously.
I just want to get these numbers for my posting.
I'd just like to make a couple comments about this warrant. It's composed of 19 articles. There are some that have been put off to annual town meeting, probably in June, that were not placed on this one at this time. In my opinion, it's one of the better special town warrants that the Board of Selectmen has put together. I want to commend my colleagues, and also a special thank you to our administrative assistant who prepared the warrant flawlessly. Did a tremendous job for being her first warrant as the administrative assistant on her own, and thank you very much, Karen.
And the FinCom's gonna meet Tuesday night.
Oh my God, that's right. For those of you that are interested in hearing more about some of these warrants, or asking questions, or have concerns that you'd like to address about any of these warrants, the Finance Committee will be meeting to go over these articles and specify those that they recommend, or if they don't want to recommend. And the public is invited. That meeting will be here Tuesday night coming at, I believe it's 7 o'clock?
I'm guessing 6:30.
6:30 PM. So again, Tuesday night, 6:30, you're all welcome to come and give your feedback or input and have questions. Come and have them answered.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next on the warrant, the agenda, under new business, review, discuss, and act to sign a warrant for the state election.
Does the election still go on if we don't sign this?
Well, I'll start off with, this is the, in regards to the state election, which is coming up on, I believe it's November 8th. To the constables of the town of Dayton, this comes from Commonwealth of Massachusetts, William Francis Galvin, Secretary of the Commonwealth. Greetings, in the name of the Commonwealth, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of said city or town who are qualified to vote in the state election to vote at Dayton Elementary School, precincts 1 and 2, on Tuesday, the 8th day of November, 2016, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the following purpose: to cast their votes in the state election for the candidates for the following offices and questions: electors of President and Vice President for this Commonwealth, Representative in Congress, the 4th District, Councilor in the 1st District, Senator in General Court in 1st Plymouth and Bristol District, Representative in General Court in the 5th Bristol District, Sheriff of Bristol County, District Attorney, Bristol District, County Commissioners, Bristol County, Regional School Committee, Bristol and Plymouth District. Also on this, on ballot will be four questions, and I'll read one of them here. Question number 1, a law proposed by the initiative petition Do you approve of a law summarized below on which no vote was taken by the Senate or the House of Representatives on or before May 3rd, 2016? The summary is, this proposed law would allow the State Gaming Commission to issue one additional Category 2 license, which would permit operation of a gaming establishment with no table games and not more than 1,250 slot machines. The proposed law would authorize the commission to request applications for the additional license to be granted to a gaming establishment located on the property that is, 1, at least 4 acres in size, 2, adjacent to and within 1,500 feet of a racetrack, including the track's additional facilities, such as the track, grounds, paddocks, barns, the auditorium, amphitheater, and bleachers. 3, where a horse racing meeting may physically be held. 4, where a horse racing meeting shall have been hosted. And 5, not separated from the racetrack by a highway or railway. That really specifies there's only a few areas.
One.
A yes vote would permit the State Gaming Commission to license one additional slot machine gaming establishment at a location that meets certain conditions specified in the law. A no vote, excuse me, would make no change in current laws regarding gaming. I believe there's 4 questions on this ballot.
Question 2, law proposed by initiative petition. Do you approve a law summarized below on which no vote was taken by the Senate or House of Representatives on or before May 3rd, 2016? Summary. The proposed law would allow the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education to approve up to 12 new charter schools or enrollment expansions in existing charter schools each year. Approvals under this law could expand statewide charter schools enrollment by up to 1% of the total statewide public school enrollment each year. New charters and enrollment expansions approved under this law would be exempt from existing limits on the number of charter schools, the number of students enrolled in them, and the amount of local school districts' spending allocated to them. If the board received more than 12 applications in a single year from qualified applicants, then the proposed law would require it to give priority to proposed charter schools or enrollment expansions in districts where student performance on statewide assessments is in the bottom 25% of all districts in the previous 2 years, and where demonstrated parent demand for additional public school options is greatest. New charter schools and enrollment expansions approved under this proposed law would be subject to the same approval standards as other charter schools and to recruitment, retention, and multilingual outreach requirements that currently apply to some charter schools. Schools authorized under this law would be subject to annual performance reviews according to standards established by the board. The proposed law would take effect on January 1st, 2017. A yes vote would allow up to 12 approvals each year of either new charter schools or expanded enrollments in existing charter schools, but not to exceed 1% of the statewide public school enrollment. A no vote would make no change in current laws relative to charter schools.
Not complicated or anything. Super easy to understand. And they purposely write it that way.
Why do you think they didn't vote on it?
Yeah, exactly. Third rail.
Didn't understand it.
Right.
Question 3, which is why you should have the appropriate background. Question 3, law proposed by initiative petition. Do you approve of a law summarized below on which no vote was taken by the Senate or the House of Representatives on or before May 3rd, 2016? Summary. This proposed law would prohibit any farm owner or operator from knowingly confining any breeding pig, calf raised for veal, or egg-laying hen in a way that prevents the animal from lying down, standing up, fully extending its limbs, or turning around freely. The proposed law would also prohibit any business owner or operator in Massachusetts from selling whole eggs intended for human consumption or any uncooked cut of veal or pork if the business owner or operator knows or should know that the hen, breeding pig, or veal calf that produced these products was confined in a manner prohibited by the proposed law. The proposed law would exempt sales of food products that combine veal or pork with other products, including soups, sandwiches, pizzas, hot dogs, or similar processed or prepared food items. The proposed law's confinement prohibitions would not apply during transportation, state and county fair exhibitions, 4-H programs, slaughter in compliance with applicable laws and regulations, medical research, veterinary exams, testing, treatment, and operation if performed under the direct supervision of a licensed veterinarian, 5 days prior to a pregnant pig's expected date of giving birth, any day that pig is nursing piglets, and for temporary periods for animal husbandry purposes not to exceed 6 hours in any 24-hour period. The proposed law would create a civil penalty of up to $1,000 for each violation and would give the Attorney General the exclusive authority to enforce the law and to issue regulations to implement it. As a defense to enforcement proceedings, the proposed law would allow a business owner or operator to rely in good faith upon a written certification or guarantee of compliance by a supplier. The proposed law would be in addition to any other animal welfare laws and would not prohibit stricter local laws. The proposed law would take effect on January 1st, 2022. The proposed law states that if any of its parts were declared invalid, the other parts would stay in effect. A yes vote would prohibit any confinement of pigs, calves, and hens that prevents them from lying down, standing up, fully extending their limbs, or turning around freely. A no vote would make no change in current laws relative to the keeping of farm animals. Ooh, luck of the draw.
Question number 4, which is the last one on the ballot. Law proposed by initiative petition. Do you approve of a law summarized below in which no vote was taken by the Senate or the House of Representatives on or before May 3rd, 2016? The summary. The proposed law would permit the possession, use, distribution, and cultivation of marijuana in limited amounts by persons under age 21, persons age 21 and older, and would remove criminal penalties for such activities. It would provide for the regulation of commerce in marijuana, marijuana accessories, and marijuana products, and for the taxation of proceeds from the sales of these items. The proposed law would authorize persons at least 21 years old to possess up to 1 ounce of marijuana outside of their residences, possess up to 10 ounces of marijuana inside their residences, grow up to 6 marijuana plants in their residences, give 1 ounce or less of marijuana to a person at least 21 years old without payment, possess, produce, or transfer hemp, or make or transfer items related to marijuana use, storage, cultivation, or processing. The measure would create a Cannabis Control Commission of 3 members appointed by the state treasurer, which would generally administer the law governing marijuana use and distribution, promulgate regulations, and be responsible for the licensing of marijuana commercial establishments. The proposed law would also create a Cannabis Advisory Board of 15 members appointed by the governor. The Cannabis Control Commission would adopt the regulations governing licensing qualifications, security, record keeping, health and safety standards, packaging and labeling, testing, advertising and displays, required inspections, and such other matters as the commission considers appropriate. The records of the commission would be public records. The proposed law would authorize cities and towns to adopt reasonable restrictions on the time, place, and manner of operating marijuana businesses and to limit the number of marijuana establishments in their communities. A city or town could hold a local vote to determine whether to permit the selling of marijuana and marijuana products for consumption on the premises at commercial establishments. The proceeds of retail sales of marijuana and marijuana products would be subject to the state sales tax and an additional excise tax of 3.75%. A city or town could impose a separate tax of up to 2%. Revenue received from the additional state excise tax or from license application fees and civil penalties for violations of this law would be deposited in a marijuana regulation fund and would be used to subject to appropriation for administration of the proposed law. Marijuana-related activities authorized under this proposed law could not be a basis for adverse orders in child welfare cases, absent clear and convincing evidence that such activities had created an unreasonable danger to the safety of a minor child. The proposed law would not affect existing law regarding medical marijuana treatment centers or the operation of motor vehicles while under the influence. It would permit property owners to prohibit the use, sale, or production of marijuana on their premises, with an exception that landlords cannot prohibit consumption by tenants of marijuana by means of other than by smoking, and would permit employers to prohibit the consumption of marijuana by employees in the workplace. State and local governments could continue to restrict uses in public buildings or at or near schools. Supplying marijuana to persons under age 21 would be unlawful. The proposed law would take effect on December 15th, 2016. A yes vote would allow persons 21 and older to possess, use, and transfer marijuana and products containing marijuana concentrate, including edible products, and to cultivate marijuana, all in limited amounts, and would provide for the regulation and taxation of commercial sale of marijuana and marijuana products. A no vote would make no change in current laws relative to marijuana.
I just wanted to make an observation. The marijuana law, if approved rather, goes into effect 1 month after the vote is taken. But
Right.
the poor animals
Have to
who
wait
can't
till-
move, they have to wait 6 years to get their rights. So I just wanted to make that
Which means a
observation.
number will be slaughtered before that law ever
6
becomes
years.
effective.
Yep.
Yep. Wow. And you are directed to serve this warrant by posting attested copies thereof, one at each Dayton post offices, one at the town hall, and one at the main fire station, all in said Dayton, 7 days at least before the time of holding and meeting. Hereof fail not, and make return of this warrant with your doings thereon at the time and place of said voting. Given under our hands this 5th day of October 2016, and will be signed by the 3 selectmen who you are looking at right now. I'll entertain a motion to sign the warrant for the state election.
So moved.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussions? If none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries unanimously. That's a good point you brought up. Poor animals can't stretch or lay down for 6 years.
Sad.
It is.
And also, I feel like the wording, I don't mean to be critical of the Commonwealth or anything, but it doesn't really describe what a no vote means. It just tells you that it stays as the current law, but if you're not familiar with what the current law actually is on those issues, you don't really know what a no vote means, so.
Well, actually, the one about charter schools, when you talk about 1% of the public school population, well, charter schools are public schools, so people will probably think it only means to our schools that aren't charter schools, but public schools include charter schools. So the ones already in existence, I think, are in the 1%. But it really doesn't give you any idea how many children would be affected. And 12 a year? That's not, and there's no end to it. I mean, are we gonna have any public schools left? Or are we gonna have all these little neighborhood schools called charter schools? And I don't know.
Well, I agree with that, and my fear is that, I know that many people consider charter schools to be beneficial because of the more one-on-one attention you get, the smaller classroom size. My fear is I'm not sure there are enough teachers to have all these individual charter schools if the cap is raised. So that would be my concern as a voter, not as a selectman.
I think it will also, if enough of them are created, it will have a definite impact on our public schools as we know them today. Because with less students, and some people look at charter schools almost as similar to private or parochial schools. Some of them require uniforms, which that's entirely up to the people running them and the parents who send their children there. But I think it could have a detrimental effect across the board on public education as we know it. I can only talk for the town of Dayton. I think all of us who've either been through the system or who have children who have gone through the system have certain continued expectations for succeeding generations of children from Dayton who go to our schools. And if our schools see a continued reduction in the number of students who attend, I'm not sure that, well, I'll just use athletics, and I realize somebody's saying, well, what about academics? I consider the extracurricular activities as important as a good education because I think it's part of a good education for a well-rounded student, whether it's art, music, sports, whatever. But anyhow, in a community the size of Dayton and Rehoboth, especially at the high school level, that takes pride in the accomplishments of our students at that level. Again, whether it's art, music, sports, literature, debating, chess, you name it. Because of the mix of students and the number of students we have who participate and contribute to those programs, we have had very good results. If you start reducing the number of children across the board that are going to go to other schools, I think that will have a marked effect on what comes out of those schools. And I also think that in Dayton and Rehoboth, our pre-K to 8 students pretty much learn and recognize themselves as residents of Dayton and Rehoboth. I go to Dayton Elementary, I go to Dayton Middle, I go to the Beckwith School, I go to Palmer River. And I think it gives the students a sense of responsibility and recognition of their hometown. When our students get to regional high school, that's where Dayton and Rehoboth students become DR kids. That's where homogenization occurs. That's where our children learn how to act and cooperate and become team members, which is part of preparing for adulthood. Because once you leave, unless you have your own business or are totally isolated, that's how it's going to be out there in the workforce. And I think all of that we build on. If students leave or never attend our local schools, or when they get to the high school go in a different direction, I'm not sure charter schools can provide the kind of opportunities we offer at our schools currently. again, I think we all have expectations because of our experience or our children. So I'm certainly not trying to influence how people vote, but I think this is an important issue for our residents to look at because of the way our schools are structured and because of what we have seen and the accomplishments that have happened, you know?
Well, I just want to piggyback off what you said, Selectman Goulart. I went on, to go to college and get a college degree and go on to graduate school and get a PhD. And my parents owe, and they tell me all the time, they owe a lot of what I was able to do because of my education that I got at DR, a public institution. My family didn't have enough money to send us to a private school, nor did we want to. My cousin had went to DR before I did, and my dad went to DR as well. So I have a lot of pride in DR, and I have a lot of pride in public institutions like our public school systems, especially the one we have in town. And I know a lot of people, not necessarily in Dayton, just in the Commonwealth, have a lot of issues with teaching to a test such as MCAS. And my response as a voter, not as a selectman, of course, my response would be, I understand that people have issues with teaching to a test, but for me personally, I don't think the solution is to give up on public schools because of that issue. I think it makes more, and especially not to divert money away for that issue. I think our kids are worth investing in and continuing to invest in. That's my personal philosophy. I'm a product of public schools. I like to think I turned out okay. So, that's just how I feel about it.
I agree, and my education has been public schools right through my bachelor's degree. I chose to go to a private university for my graduate degree, only because I couldn't find the program I was looking for in one of the state institutions. But I will also say, I think that over a period of years, we have seen progression in what we are able to offer the students who live in Dayton and Rehoboth. We now have 3 excellent programs that, actually 4, because there are actually 2 at Dayton Rehoboth because there is a vocational program. But we have 3 excellent high schools where our students can go for secondary ed. And they can all go to those schools depending upon what they're looking for and what their level of expertise is. I realize that a couple are more restrictive as far as admissions go, but anyone that goes there can come out with a trade or can take a trade and then go on to school. And so I think Dayton and Rehoboth have been very proactive in being able to offer more to their students. And I think that's another reason that when our younger children are approaching high school age, they've got big decisions to make. It's no longer all our kids go to DR or the Aggie school or whatever. And the Aggie school is also having an expansion program. That's going to benefit Dayton and Rehoboth students too. And so, and again, we're focused on our small communities, but personally, I hope we don't have charter schools close to us that will take students out of Dayton, or Rehoboth for that matter.
I must say, well said by both my colleagues. The only thing I'd like to add on that note is we have till the election on November 8th. I would strongly suggest what we have talked about and what my fellow colleagues have mentioned is it's not an opinion of the general consensus of any town or any board of this town. It comes down to each one of you when you go to the polls on November 8th is to check a yes or a no on 4 questions. There's plenty of time. Those of you who have not received that little red booklet in your mail that explains just what we have taking the opportunity to read to you tonight. If you have it there, don't discard it. Take a little downtime and just read the 4 questions and try to comprehend, what it actually says. There's a lot of wording there. And if you didn't have the opportunity to get that in the mail, we do have copies of that booklet here describing and summarizing the 4 questions that'll be on the ballot. So take a little time and read them and put a little thought into it and make some educated decisions. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, I just want to state publicly that, just as my colleague, Mr. DeGraff, has said, what I said about charter schools is personal opinion. It's not, I'm not speaking as a selectman. I'm speaking as a product of the Dayton-Rehoboth school system, as a parent who sent somebody through it, someone who worked there for a number of years. So I think I know the system pretty well. And the other thing I would mention is the red books that Mr. Cronin mentioned. We've got extras here, so if you come into the foyer at Town Hall, there's a little table out there, and the books are piled up, so if you need one, stop by and take one.
Very good. Moving along on the agenda tonight, reports.
Oh, we're
No,
gonna do
I'm
C.
sorry, I have,
C.
no. C, review, discuss, and act on the appointment of a
Thank you.
general clerk to the CPC, the Community Preservation Committee. And this comes to the Board of Selectmen from the Community Preservation Committee. Honorable Board of Selectmen, at a regular meeting of the CPC held on September 29, 2016, the committee voted unanimously to recommend the appointment of Karen I. Robitaille to the position of General Clerk of the CPC. Karen comes to us with 15 years of municipal experience while employed by the town of Freetown from 2000 until retirement in 2015. Some of Karen's previous work experience with Freetown includes Senior Clerk of the Assessors, Senior Clerk on the Conservation Commission, Senior Clerk on Soil Conservation, Senior Clerk of the Finance Committee, and on the Water Department. The committee strongly urges appointment of Karen to this position. We feel she would be a tremendous asset to the town and this committee. Respectfully submitted, Thomas J. Pires, Acting Clerk, Vice Chairman of the Community Preservation Committee.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Karen Robitaille as recommended by the CPC.
And I second that, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Do I take that once a day or twice a day? I love to watch him sign his name. It's like writing a prescription. Next on the agenda, any reports?
Just to mention, last meeting we talked about South Coast Rail and about the meeting we attended. The board sent a letter to Mrs. Jean Fox, who is the manager for the South Coast Rail Project at Mass DOT, indicating that at our last meeting, we voted unanimously to support the Stoughton route.
Is there any other reports? If not, we'll move on to acknowledgements. First acknowledgement that we'd like to partake in is a bereavement donation, the amount of $1,000 to Prime Time, along with a letter of appreciation. This comes to us, the Board of Selectmen, Dayton Board of Selectmen, from Sheila New, Assistant Program Manager at Primetime Supportive Day Program. We are extremely happy to inform you that Primetime has received an incredibly generous bereavement donation in the amount of $1,000. I have attached a copy of the letter received with the donation. Occasionally, we will receive a kind letter along with a donation, but I thought you'd like to see just how valued Primetime is to families. As usual, all donations are turned over to the town accountant and deposited in the Primetime gift and donations account. Should you have any questions or need additional information, please do not hesitate to call. And with that, I'd like to read the little letter that came along with this very generous donation. Dear Sheila and everyone at Primetime, how do you thank someone for extraordinary kindness to a loved one? I don't think there are words adequate enough to express how much I appreciated the love, care, and generosity you showed to both Auntie Edie and Auntie Charlotte. The program is outstanding in every single way. Both my aunties' lives were enriched at the end by participating at Primetime. Please accept this small token of appreciation. No amount could ever come close to what my aunts, myself, and my family gained by participating at Primetime. Everyone at Primetime does the work of angels on earth. Thank you for everything. With warmest regards, and it's signed Jackie. Very nice.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we acknowledge a bereavement donation in the amount of $1,000 to Primetime.
I second that, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The ayes have it, that motion carries unanimously. And thank you very much, Jackie, wherever you are. And second, under acknowledgements, we have an anonymous donation, the amount of $288 to the Council on Aging. Again, this is from Alice Souza, from the Dayton Council on Aging. A $288 donation was made to the Council on Aging and was deposited. The town accountant and the town treasurer have been notified.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we acknowledge an anonymous donation in the amount of $288 to the Council on Aging.
And I second that.
I have another motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, that motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, can we just take a second to acknowledge, the good work that Alice is doing over at Primetime?
Be my guest.
I just wanted to say thank you, Alice. It has been a pleasure to work with you. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, and obviously, you're having a really big impact in people's lives, and not just the people that you help care for, but the people, their families, the people who care about the people that you're helping so much. So I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the town of Dayton.
Thank you.
Very well.
Do we have any public input tonight?
I would just like to thank the Dayton Police Building Committee for their work on the presentation last night, and all those townspeople that came. The hall wasn't packed, obviously, but it was a good presentation. Thank you to the people that were there from cable that made sure we had operating PA systems. There were 2 in place. People were able to speak from their seats in the audience because there was a portable mic. And I thought they did a good job on the presentation. And so I just wanted to recognize them for that.
I will second that.
I have a motion and and a second. Any other discussion? I'd like to ask at this time if Selectman Zografis would just make an announcement, because he has the expertise in getting out the word in so many different forms, so many different avenues, way above my pay scale. So I would ask him to please, let the people know it. Where can you go to learn about something like this presentation, this public forum last night? He's brought communication to a much higher level since he's been elected, and this board really appreciates it, as well as I know the people sitting out there appreciate it. So, Brett, I don't want you to hurt your arm or anything, patting yourself, but could you just tell them some of the places where they can go?
Absolutely. I have been getting a lot of questions from different residents wondering if people really have to come to town hall to learn if there's a meeting. No, you do not have to come down to town hall, but you should come to town hall because everybody that here is really great. You can find out on our official Town of Dayton YouTube account. We are just waiting for our cable committee, who has just been just the strongest ally in getting these meetings on YouTube and keeping our residents informed on various town business. So the meeting from last night, that wonderful presentation that the police station building committee put together, will be soon uploaded to the official Town of Dayton YouTube account. As I understand, the actual slideshow presentation that was used last evening with sort of the history of the new police station, as well as the projected plans, cost estimates, everything is in that presentation. That is now on the Town of Dayton website as well. So the information is there. I will also be happy to provide a link on my Facebook page to the website, to that slideshow, and also to the YouTube video when it is uploaded as well. So in addition to physically coming to the middle school last night, if you were able to attend the meeting, now you can see it on YouTube, and you can view the slideshow in its entirety on the official Town of Dayton website.
I think it's going to be on Channel 9 also.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's going to replay on Channel 9.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? I don't hear any. That motion carries. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, Cable, and again, Cable, thank you very much. Last night was a terrific job. Can't wait to see the replays and the whole presentation all over again. And I advise any person that has access to Channel 9, stay tuned to watch a replay of the entire presentation, which was a little short of 2 hours. I think you're going to gain an awful lot of information that was not made too public before, because we didn't have the ability or the personnel to get it out to you. And that's the entire reason why a lot of people were asking questions of why didn't this happen, why didn't we hear about this. We've turned that page with the help of Selectmen and Zografis, like I told you, and that's the direction this board is heading. We want you to know as much possible that goes on here on a daily basis. If you only knew, it's not just what you see for a little replay. But stick with us, watch for that, look for the replay on YouTube. There also will be a tax example of how this project will affect a small increase for the average homeowner in this town, irregardless of what your home is assessed at. You can get an idea of what it would cost you every quarterly bill. So take a look at these sites and these avenues of of communication that are out there, and if you have any questions, feel free to call the office, 508-669-6431. There's one of us that's always around some time of the day.
And if not, Karen's here.
Right.
I would also like to thank the Taunton Gazette, very short notice, they got a notice in on Monday night on page 3 with nice broad caption, and also there was a short article on Tuesday announcing the meeting. And there was a Gazette reporter there, and so tomorrow or the next day, there will be a write-up about that meeting last night, that presentation, for the few people in town that still get the Gazette.
I believe, I heard today that the write-up was already online, so I suspect that the story will be in the paper tomorrow.
I think he was just finishing touches on when he called tonight.
Nice.
And again, Cable, thank you very much for all your work and all the time you put in. And again, ladies and gentlemen, good night. Have a nice weekend, and don't forget, Monday's a holiday. Sleep in. Good night, all.